Welcome to Inside Style. I am your host, George Worrell, and thank you for tuning in today. Today, I have the pleasure of introducing and sitting down and talking to Brian Footer, who's a candidate of Ward 1 for council. I'm excited about that. He's known for a deep commitment to community and service in his work in addressing housing, public safety, and neighborhood vitality. Brian brings both experience and professional insight to this race. So we will explore his background and vision for Ward 1 and get a glimpse of the person behind the campaign, including his personal style, which some of you will be able to see. Looks amazing today. Welcome to Inside Style, Brian.
Thank you. I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah. So how's it going? How's everything going so far?
Oh, it's going really well.
Mm-hmm.
It's been really exciting to go around the ward and get to meet all the diverse communities and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And we've gotten a really, really good feedback from people, and people are really excited. And we've gotten a large swath of people who are really trying to build something brand new in the ward, really trying to make sure that we are building something that is going to meet the times
And lasting.
And lasting, exactly.
Yeah.
And so it's been a lot of really good listening around the community so that we can make sure that we are building policies and an entire campaign around a more grassroots style of an election. So it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah. So with all our guests, it's always a journey, and you don't start usually where you are now. You didn't start there. So give our listeners and our viewers a little bit of insight. Where are you from originally?
So I'm from the DMV, grew up in the area, and I'm third generation. My grandfather immigrated here many, many years ago and stuck around. He had his business here. My dad went to medical school here, grew up here, went to medical school here, had his business here, and so now I'm third generation sticking to the DC area. And I went to school in Ohio, and I went to New York for a couple of years, but
How was New York? Because I lived in New York for a while.
It was great. I had the fortune of being able to work for the Speaker of the City Council. Her name was Christine Quinn.
I know Christine.
I love Christine Quinn.
Yeah.
And, she really introduced me to a lot of amazing things that changed my life, specifically the power of local government and my passion for doing government work at the local level, and then connecting to the aging space. So my entire professional background, due to Christine Quinn, has been helping older adults age in place with dignity and respect. And so New York was an amazing opportunity, and I was fortunate to take all those great lessons and bring them back home.
Where did that come from? And for me, it was later in life that I got into my career path of the things that were natural. So do you remember this as a kid? It'd be like, I'm going to help the old woman across the street. Where did that drive for service come from?
You know what, we joke, but actually I do have a really funny story. My mom loves to tell this story, where I am an extreme extrovert, and I'm driven by just being very inquisitive, and I love people, and I love listening. And so my mom loves to tell the story of when I was a kid. We were on vacation in Ocean City, and I walked off, and my family realized I was gone. They started to freak out, and they turn around, and I'm perched on a bench between two older women, and I'm just having the time of my life, having a conversation. Like, are you here on vacation too? Where are you from? I had to have been 3 years old. So my mom would tell you that it has been in my DNA that I am a inquisitive kind of person who really likes to engage with people. And I feel like that has been the through line through my career, and what has driven me to public service is I really enjoy working with people and bringing people together, listening intently to what are some of the things that they really need support and help with, and then working with them to design things, programs, policies, things of that nature that are really going to have lasting impact. And I think the perfect example, if you don't mind me giving you one, is when I worked at the DC Department on Aging and Community Living. When I was there, it was called the DC Office on Aging, but I created a program called Safe at Home. And it's a program that provides home modifications to people in need, seniors and people with disabilities, so that they can age in place with dignity and respect. And so that's a perfect example, because I was hearing from a lot of seniors that they loved these communities that they had lived in and they built over 30 years, decades. And now as they're aging, they were fearful of falls, things of that nature, and they might be getting pushed out due to cost increases, things of that nature. And so I really took that as an opportunity to build a program that would meet some of their needs and try and make sure that the home was evolving with them. So I listened intently, and I really took that and built it into a program that had lasting impact.
Wow.
I know, right?
So it's like, okay, am I old enough for that program right now?
One way to find out.
Yeah. So that drive, and it's also opportunity, because as we know how times in the country is changing, that you may not have that job that, for government or, being an entrepreneur. What is your thoughts about your journey from being in New York to coming down here? Was it opportunity? What inspires, and what should our listeners be thinking about when they are choosing their career path like you did? Like, to say, like, okay, this is what I love. How am I going to get connected into it? Do you volunteer? Do you, look for internships? Do you look for jobs? Do you get a job to fund your dream? What was your journey to that?
Yeah, a great question. I would say that, it's a lot of trial and error. I didn't start off in local government and connecting with seniors. It took me a little while to get there. And there's a lot of power in trying things that are not necessarily going to be your long-term thing, but you grow through that and you take those lessons on to the next thing and the next thing. And so my advice to individuals would be to, yes, exactly as you said in kind of those examples, go volunteer, even if you know that you're not going to do that forever. Go try a job that may push your boundaries. Go back to school and maybe get something that helps to expand your horizons, things of that nature that really kind of try to help push you. And then go and I love how you actually articulated and try to identify the things that bring you joy. You're going to spend the majority of your time doing this work, and so be honest with yourself and try to identify what brings you joy and how can you make that something that's lasting. And I was very fortunate to find that in New York with the aging space.
So you were doing some other jobs in Ward 1 before becoming a candidate. What were they?
Yeah. So I have had a couple of roles. So in addition to working for the government, I was an ANC in LaDroit Park, so still Ward 1. And then,
so let me just stop you, because I've been here for 30 years, and I should know this, but I don't.
Yeah.
What does the ANC commissioner do? What is their job?
Yes. So ANC stands for Advisory Neighborhood Commissioner.
Okay.
And it is the first level of elected office in D.C. And the idea behind the ANCs is that it's going to be a hyper-local, grassroots elected official whose job is to advocate to agencies, to the council, all of that, on a variety, all issues actually. There's nothing that you can't talk about. It's a volunteer position, so it's part-time. It's not a full-time job. And there are a variety of ways that ANCs have executed on the role. I like to talk about it in kind of two camps. There's more of a policy-driven kind of approach where you're working with the city council and the agencies directly to try and shape certain policies. Or there's more kind of community-focused things where you're doing cleanups, things like that.
So are you the liaison between the constituent and the council, or the people that are you in the middle, that liaison? So I go to you and say, hey, they're not picking up my trash, or, there's a bill that I saw. Is that something, is that part of what the commissioner does?
You absolutely can, but you also go straight to the council member too. Like there's no, you don't have to go through the ANC in order to get to the council. It's another voice and advocate to help with certain things. So like, for example, one of the recent successes that I had as an ANC is advocating and lobbying to try and get the Casey Lewis Fields, which is right north of LaDroit Park, just south of Howard University, and it needs some like TLC. And so we worked with the community. We did a bunch of different surveys. We did a lot of walks, brought different agencies together in order to try and push the government to dedicate funding so that we can redevelop all of that, because the community uses it and they needed an advocate to really help kind of organize and articulate the need, the demand, and how we wanted to move forward. So the Casey Lewis is a really good example of how I took the role from that policy side and really tried to leverage it to try and like bring lasting change in my neighborhood.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
so that
it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, so from that, what was the incentive to say, I think I may want to run for Ward 1 council member?
Yeah. So just to finish up on that last question, though, so I've had a number of different roles. So I've worked inside the government doing a lot of different programs and policies. I worked in the community as an ANC. I was also the Ward 1 Dems chairman. And then I took a bit of a break, and now this is my third non-consecutive term as an ANC, and I'm the chair of ANC 1E. So I've had a lot of different roles and seen how local politics have worked in DC. Now to answer your question of why I'm running, DC is in the middle of a transition, and people in Ward 1 and across the district are facing real challenges. A lot of it around affordability, in healthcare, in housing, in childcare. And with a lot of those experiences that I have in designing programs in the city or for the government, working in the community as an advocate and understanding how things are working and how to leverage those voices, I feel like am very equipped to kind of take advantage or make a lasting impact in this moment of change. And so I felt like it was time for me to step up. I've been doing this for a long time. I love Ward 1. It's been my chosen home for the last 12, 13 years. And I think it's time that I can make an additional impact.
Yeah. So on that, wonderful foundation, do you see what you think is needed along with talking with the residents? How are you coming to your decision making about what you think Ward 1 needs? Can we expand and talk about that a little bit on how you have
Absolutely.
come?
So my driving ethos is around bringing people together, listening, and building coalitions that actually make lasting impact, right? And so I see my role in the council as somebody who is a partner in the community and then being a leader on the council in order to drive those strategies, all that stuff to success. And so I think to answer your question more directly, my vision is really kind of around trying to address a lot of the affordability in the district, and specifically around housing and around healthcare. And those are two things that I think are foundational to what people need in order to wake up and be their best selves and thrive in the city. Another really important one is around small business support and stability and expansion. And I really came to a lot of these things, not just from what my personal experiences are, but I've spent the last year working or going around and listening and talking to people one-on-one in group settings, things of that nature, and really taking a lot of those things and starting to shape them into what policies and specific issue areas that we need to address. So, trying to actually practice what I preach with bringing people together, listening, and then building these coalitions. One of the first things that I want to do on the council is try and drive some support for small businesses. And so I've been going block by block, talking to a lot of businesses about like what are some of the pressures that you're finding? What are some of the things that we can actually do to bring down some of the costs that you are finding right now that are making it so hard to keep your doors open. So we have a lot of different ideas. And over the next year, it's going to be an amazing debate. And we feel really good about our plan on how we're going to actually take those voices, leverage them into direct policy that we can on day one be prepared to start pushing some ideas, policies, initiatives through to make an immediate impact while also starting to work on what the long-term strategies are going to be.
Oh. So as a small business owner myself, I do know that Mount Pleasant is very diverse. So I know that you're going to, anybody who's running, that their strategy has to encompass the needs of different groups. And are you prepared for all of those, just to be able, because I'm sure you know that you don't deliver just impactfully to just one sector. It's everybody, which is the great part about running and being able to serve, is that you're meeting everybody's needs. And your thoughts on that?
Yeah. I mean, one of the things that I love the most about Ward 1 is its diversity, right? And so I think we need to honor that diversity and help make it thrive, right? And so one of the things that I like to talk about is that I feel very strongly that it's important to make sure that you are opening your doors and listening to everybody, regardless of whether you agree with some of their policy postures, things of that nature. Responsive government needs to be responsive to everybody. And so I don't believe in getting locked into ideological corners, because that really starts to honor what the diversity of the city or the Ward 1 is, right? What works in Mount Pleasant may not work in LaDroit Park. What works in Columbia Heights may not work for U Street or Adams Morgan. And so we are playing with a couple of ideas of how to actually institutionalize the best way to make sure that we're grabbing a lot of that diverse feedback, things of that nature. But I can tell you absolutely without fail that the number one thing that honors diversity and being able to receive a lot of that information and understanding it really is being on the ground. And so I think as a council member that it's really important to be in the community. One of the ideas that we have, and this is groundbreaking, but one of the ideas that we have is I think it's time that Ward 1 had a council office in the ward, so that people feel like there's a space that they can go and they can get some support, that it's local, that they
like
don't
a
have
satellite.
Yeah, exactly.
So no others to the Wilson building. You will have days that you'll have.
Yeah.
And that's brilliant.
Yeah, right. And there's a variety of things that we want to do with that kind of space and what people could utilize it for. And so it's an idea that we're kicking around, and we're going to have a lot of different ideas. So
I love that.
I know, right?
So how would you describe your personal style in leadership as well as in personal style? Because you look very dapper today.
Thank you. I
Very
appreciate
nice.
that.
Very nice. Very nice.
Thank you.
How would you describe your personal style? Because there is a style. Like how do you describe yourself in leadership?
I love this question. I actually, right before we came over, I was talking to my fiance about that. I was like, how would you describe my style? And he started laughing. We had a really good joke about it. But I think that I am a good balance of some classic looks with a modern twist. I really like color. I like a little bold kind of pizzazz to some of the more traditional kind of styles. And so I'd say that, one of my maybe like style, I don't know if icon's the right word, but somebody who I think I resonate with is Tan France, which is not just for the style, but also the hair. He's got lovely hair. I wish that I had that great silver hair. So that's a little bit about my style. My leadership, I think it's kind of, as I had mentioned, that I believe that my role in the council and my leadership style is to be a partner in the community, to listen first and build opportunities for people to come together, and then be a fierce, fierce advocate and leader on the council to help drive home those strategies.
Well, running a campaign is a lot. I've been there forever, and my client base, especially at the beginning in styling, was candidates. How do you relax? What do you do so that you're able to meet people and talk to people and see visions and all those kinds of things? Because you have to nurture yourself. What do you do?
Yeah. So I'm very fortunate, and I think this is something that everybody should cultivate, that I just have a very good group of people around me, my friend base, who keep me humble and give me the space to be able to actually detach and rejuvenate, things of that nature. And part of that, the leader of that is my partner in crime. My Derek Mulhern is my partner, and I love that man more than I can ever express. And he really is just a window for me to really kind of be level-headed. But to your point of getting around in the community, being on a campaign has really tested, maybe this is the right word, my extroverted nature, and I am loving it. I used to say I'm an extrovert. Now I like to say I'm an extreme extrovert, because after I go to a meeting, things of that nature, I'm truly energized. I'm like, what's next? Here we go. What are we doing? And so because I have a lot of that energy, and I really like being around people and talking to people, I have no problem walking into a room that I don't know a single person and just introducing myself and striking up a conversation.
Yeah. And do you find that people are challenging you about what you want to do, what your knowledge is, your background? How do you feel that the community is receiving you?
I think really well. I think I approach a lot of it in a listening style, right? I ask a lot of questions of people because I want to understand what motivates them. I want that to be a really important basis for how I am driving policy and understanding how it's going to impact people. And so a lot of the conversations that we've been having over the past year have really been around listening. And telling my story and how much I enjoy and love DC, particularly Ward 1, people really resonate with. So
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, you're going to have to come back and chat with us. How can our listeners and viewers get in contact with you on social media?
Yes. Well, first, I would say go to our website, which is brianfooterdc.com, and check out our story. I would love our opportunity if people feel so inclined to donate. We're doing fundraising right now. A lot of this is going to be driven by what we can do on the campaign trail and how much fundraising we can actually do. And we're doing a really good job right now, but always like to push that we're participating in the Fair Elections program. So the max an individual can give is $50, and if you're a DC resident, it's matched 5 to 1. And then we're on social media, and so the common handle is Brian Footer DC. And so you can find us on Instagram, you can find us on Facebook, on Twitter, on Blue Sky. So we're on all the things. But please go to the website, brianfooterdc.com.
And one last thing, would you encourage anyone that's young or listening in high school or college to be civic-minded and to look at running for office and what they could do in their community?
Absolutely. I always tell people that they should run for ANC, that it is a great way to learn more about the city than you'll ever care to know, make an impact, and you do it for a term or two, and it's a great volunteer opportunity. But there are a variety of ways to get involved. But yes, I think it's also important for people to register to vote, regardless of how long you think you're going to be in DC, because I know DC is a very transient city. You should always register to vote in DC and vote locally, make an impact on taxes and school systems, things of that nature. So tell people to vote. Get involved in your local ANC.
Well, thank you, Brian Footer, candidate for Ward 1. I am George Worrell, and remember, real style starts with being comfortable in your own skin. We will see you next time.